I've been trying to get hands-on with this watch for a very long time, pretty much since it released. This is not one of those watches that you'll find sitting in the window display of a shop. You'll find AP, you'll find Patek, even RMs, but this, I've never come across this. This is the Lange Odysseus. Let's get into it. I came across this particular watch at Ken's Watches in Hong Kong. Check them out, links down below. So I'd like to go over the significance of this watch, talk about why you never see these, and whether it's Lange's best or worst. Now this is a watch of many firsts for Lange and Söhne. This is their first serial production stainless steel watch. This is their first sports watch. This is their first bracelet watch. And their first integrated bracelet watch. Entering this category of watch was a rather unexpected and risky move for ALS. They've always catered to the older, more formal crowd, the dress watch enthusiasts. I would consider the typical Lange buyer to be well into their 60s. But this category of an integrated bracelet sports watch, it's very much for the younger folk. I'm not saying it excludes the older folk, but it's unlikely for the typical Lange customer to go after this. Lange has pretty much focused on appealing to a younger crowd with this watch. So then, why is it that you never actually see these? When this watch was first launched, it received mixed opinions. The reason behind this is its positioning as a direct competitor to the AP Royal Oak, the Patek Nautilus, the VC Overseas, and other watches in that category like GP stuff, Piaget stuff, although those are somewhat less expensive. So why did this piece gather mixed opinions? Well, it's because of how it looks. Taking a look at it, you notice one thing. It's very different from the rest of the competitors, despite being an integrated bracelet sports watch. It's distinctive looking, the lugs in particular stand out, the bracelet is thicker than expected, and the case has also got an intriguing shape. It sort of looks larger than it actually is. The watch is not always photogenic. It has certain angles that carry it well and certain that make it look out of proportion. I'm not as convinced by the watch on the silicone band. I think the steel bracelet version is the one to have. Also, the blue dial can only be had on the steel version. They've got a titanium version now too, also with the grey dial. The blue is the only steel one, and I think it's the one to have. And that's reflected in the market values too. This watch is also quite distinctly German. It doesn't quite carry itself the same way, especially in terms of proportions. When you take a look at the Holy Trinity watches, the AP, Patek, and VC, you notice that they have this cascading waterfall styled bracelet. So that's the manner in which the bracelet connects to the case. It looks like a waterfall and there's a taper off. And that's a really beautiful design on the wrist. And it's quite slim. The bracelet is thin, the cases are thin. But on the other hand, this watch has some of the most noticeable wide integrated lugs with a multi-link bracelet. It's really built solidly. It's built in a more robust fashion, but it's also beautiful in terms of the details it's got. It's just not the same dainty, very aesthetically focused watch that the others are. For the AP, Patek, and VC crowd, that's kind of a turn-off. Another reason why you don't see these watches is because of the resale value. Quite a bit below the competition. It still is in some regards, discounting the VC. The VC's half of what this is. Another reason why you don't see these is because in typical Lange fashion, there's not that many Lange buyers. And additionally, Lange has really restricted the supply of this watch. This in stainless steel is one of the hardest watches to get from Lange, whereas the competition has a lot of stainless steel models in different sizes. This is the only one from Lange. So this watch is essentially extremely rare. Previously didn't have the greatest resale value, but now it kind of is getting quite good. But I think that's because of the very few units in comparison to its competition. The hype watch crowd also doesn't know about Lange as much as they know about the other watches. Lange doesn't advertise in the same manner, so the average person that's not from Germany or not from Europe doesn't automatically aspire to have a Lange. They might aspire to have a Patek because of their classical advertising and because they're much more well known, but that's not the case with Lange watches, and that applies to the Odysseus. Now let's dive into some more watch details. The Odysseus is a relatively burly watch. It's not actually, but that's the impression it gives. I certainly prefer it to the competition. 5711, 5811. They are some of the most unimpressive watches in person, in the flesh, because of how dainty they feel. I'm not sure if I'd pick it over an AP though. For example, the 15202 or 16202, I really like that design. I like that bracelet link pattern more. The bracelet on this watch makes me think of the Omega Seamaster, Zinn's multi-link bracelet, Breitling's Navitimer bracelet, Longines Legend Diver bracelet. The bracelet itself doesn't bother me. I actually like it. It's an acquired taste. But when you put it on your wrist, I think you kind of acquire the taste. It's just when you've not handled the watch in person, then you might not think that you like it. The proportions of this watch really don't work in pictures and videos the way they do on wrist. Just have a look at this on wrist. I think it looks sublime. It almost makes it even cooler that you really need to handle this in person to understand how nice it is. Which is not the case for many other watches. Many watches look really great, and in person they're a bit of a letdown. This is the complete opposite. The watch has a 40.5mm case and is 11.1mm thick. It looks a lot bigger than it actually is in photos because of the case shape, because of the proportions, because of the lugs, the bracelet thickness. It's engineered with German precision. The entire watch feels more solid than its competitors, except for the VC. That's also thicker, larger, a bit chunkier. A main factor is that this watch is much denser on the wrist. One super cool hidden feature is the micro adjustment system on the clasp. This circular emblem is actually a release to deploy the micro adjust extension system. From the backside you get a better glance of the ratcheting system. It's really cool. I gotta say, this is pretty sublime. You almost want to simply use it for no reason because it's so easy. Let's talk about the dial. The dial is very well done with the classic Lange day date apertures. I will say, Lange has much cooler dials on their cooler watches like the datograph. It's a bit of an unfair comparison, but yeah, that is a comment. People sometimes find this dial to not be that aesthetic looking. Perhaps some even prefer the Lange 1 dial, but I like a centered dial where the hands span the entire dial. This is also a daily wearer watch. You really want a central dial on a daily watch, and you could have those cool, complicated offset dials on dress watches, but as a daily wear stainless steel bracelet watch, I think this makes a lot more sense, especially because it's a three-hander as well. The coolest feature on this watch is the day date pushers. Look at what's flanking the crown. Those things up and down, those are pushers. Now you might not have even noticed this feature, but when you get acquainted with it, it's one of the coolest things you can find on any watch. I'm yet to experience a better execution of pushers on a watch. Quite an odd thing to say, right? It's effortlessly easy to use, but it's hidden in plain sight with that gorgeous engraved pattern. You may think that it doesn't make sense to have so much design and engineering into a date complication, but it absolutely does. It's the most useful complication you can have in a watch, and especially a watch that you do not wear on the everyday basis. I'm sure there are some fringe cases of people that have only this watch, this is their daily wear, and they don't need to fiddle with a date. But for most people, this is a special watch, and they'd most likely not wear it all the time. And that means that you need to adjust the date every time you put it on. And I don't think there's a system that's easier than this. I think this is one of the most useful complications, and it's executed just so brilliantly. It's simple, thoughtful, and robust. I mean, does anyone really enjoy cycling through the position 1 or position 2 on the crown in order to set the date? I don't think so. Now the movement. Lange is known for their finishing, complications, and movements. This is really their forte, and this watch does not miss. It's absolutely in line with those characteristics. In hot horology watches, I generally like to see a micro rotor, but that's not the end all be all, and that's not really a sign of how well done a movement is or how intricately it's designed. The finishing of this movement is so beautifully done, and the rotor is thin as a wafer, skeletonized so well. This leaves me not desiring a micro rotor. Now I love the finishing that you have on the back of a Patek. I love the finishing that you have in APs, although that's a little bit more industrial. Closer to Lange actually, but I've got to give the crown to Lange. I think this is one of the best looking movements out there. They've made it so good looking despite not throwing a lot of gold in there. I think this watch has been executed really well by Lange. It's true to their brand. It's not really taking after the competition. It's setting its own bar. You clearly don't have just an adaptation of Genta design, which is kind of the go-to in order to make an integrated bracelet sports watch. This is its complete own thing. It's the exact same category of watch, but it's for a totally different buyer. So now onto the question, is this watch Lange's best or is it Lange's worst? I think it's kind of obvious. I'm not going to relegate this to being their worst watch, clearly, as I'm quite a fan of it. But let's actually rank it in comparison to their other famous watches. I prefer it to the Saxonia. I think it looks better than the Lange 1-2. Not 1-2, but Lange 1-2. The Lange one's a beautiful complication, beautiful dial. But as a whole package, this is cooler. And I think it looks better than the Zeitwerk. That's a cool complication, it's its own thing, but aesthetically speaking, it doesn't speak to me. So, aesthetically not speaking. The 1815 is pretty cool. The chronograph is quite sublime. I think I might like the 1815 chronograph more than this. The 1815 up-down, also a simple watch, nice. This one's better. Now, what does this not touch? Of course, it doesn't touch the datagraphs. That's a complete other level. That's Lange at their finest. I think pretty much all the datagraphs are cooler than this. Certainly the perpetuals. Those are yet another bracket above. But yeah, up until the datograph, I'd say this is one of their most solid watches. So is it their best watch? Clearly not. It's not even meant to be one of those. Is it their worst watch? Obviously not. If the datograph is S tier, I'd rank this A tier. To get a better idea of where this actually stands in the market in Lange's lineup, let's look at market values. This watch is significantly more expensive than the Lange Matic, the Saxonia 1815 chronograph. This basically sits below the datograph. I'd call this upper mid-tier Lange, based on the market's response at least. What you also have to note is that this only applies to this stainless steel version with the blue dial. Now, the white gold version, which comes on the strap with the grey dial and the other titanium grey dial, I'm not sure where the market on the titanium one is. They're not as hot as this, despite being made of precious metals or titanium. But it shows that as a whole package, the blue dial with the bracelet, there's a lot of demand for this packaging of watch, this form of watch. I'd call this a slow burning success for Lange. They've intentionally produced so few of them that it can't not be good in terms of market values, and that's certainly helped a lot. The market for Lange is also much smaller than that of the other popular brands, so you got to take that into consideration. That's been it. See you in the next vid. Cheers.